boys and girls. Welcome to another broadcast of the Lawrence Report. On tonight's broadcast, we will be discussing Little Rel Howery's new movie, The Mill. Now, the director of this movie right here is Sean Kingo Grady. And of course, like I said, Little Rel is actually the star of this movie right here. Now, I have two burning questions that I must ask my subscribers. Have you ever felt like the job was just, you know, taking advantage of you? It doesn't matter if you was working a corporate job or simply working at Burger King. Have you ever felt that way? Number two, have you ever felt like, you know what, this job right here, it's just not worth the stress, the time, or the effort that is weighing on me, almost like it's a burden, right? Well, I think that is what this character and this movie right here, Joe, definitely sense. Now, this movie right here, The Mill, is about when this character Joe is transported to the cell. At the cell, he's basically forced to do hard labor and to meet daily quotas. I know that is sounds familiar to a lot of you that have those jobs where you have to meet those daily quotas. Like I said, while the character Joe is in this cell, that's a lot of hard work. That's a lot of mental capacity that he has to go through. For me, this movie right here was a psychological thriller, and also was a corporate nightmare, if I could put it like that. The things that this character Joe had to face in this movie, I don't wish it on anybody at all. I mean, there was one point in time in this movie where they acted like they didn't even want to give him, any more water, as if, like having a 10-minute break is such a bad thing, But also, while Joe is actually, he's actually the boss man at a company named Mallard, right? And he was sent to this grist mill, the cell, to do this job right here because, the company has kind of been upset with his performance. And while he's there, he hears screams from other people, but in the film, he cannot see the people. Like you cannot see them. You can only just, hear the screams. But he does meet one friend while he's there. And while he's there, this friend, he's been there for a while. He knows the ins and outs. But the thing that Joe and his friend is facing is this AI robot. This AI robot that kind of has the figure of a duck. And basically this AI robot is calling the shots. And for Joe, if he doesn't meet the quotas, he doesn't get a chance to go home and see his pregnant wife. Now, going back to quotas, at first it's real rough on Joe. It's you know, the scenes were just very dramatic and it was dark and sometimes gritty for him to go through. One of the things that I noticed in the movie when it came to Joe was, he would meet his quota, but at the same time, the other people around him, they need to meet their quotas as well. And if Joe went too hard in the paint or went too hard with meeting the quotas, if everybody else didn't meet Joe's quotas, they could potentially get punished. What I'm saying is a potential breaking of the legs, or they can get to some serious trouble if they can't meet the quotas that Joe has, at the end of the day lived up to. This movie right here, for me, it was just, something different. I've never seen this right here before. And let me tell you, when I say Little Rel was acting in this movie, this was not no comedic Little Rel that we sometimes know him for. This brother right here was acting in this movie right here. Never seen him go this hard in the paint. I can't imagine, what he had to go through for this right here. But the acting was absolutely incredible on his behalf right here. Like I said, this movie is about, the corporate greed. And, a lot of times we give our all to these jobs. Sometimes, these jobs, they would even hold up, like a carrot, like a dangling of a carrot. And what I mean by that is like an incentive that a job would give you, like, hey, if you you do this right here, I will give you this extra pay, or I will give you this company car that will strictly be yours. But at the end of the day, sometimes we have to wonder, is that really worth it? You know? So this movie definitely made me think. Makes these quotas, but eventually, a lot of times you give your all to the job and, you just want to quit, you know? And Joe feels like at some point in time, he's had enough. He has a flashback of his pregnant wife. And a lot of times when we, in our minds, we think about, certain things that we don't want to quit because, we may have certain things that we need to do. Things like, we may need to pay off those student loans. We may have to take care of a pregnant wife. We still have to put food on the table. So those things are in the back of our mind. Like, man, I can't quit this job because, yeah, I got a pregnant wife. I have a house payment at the end of the day. But mentally, we all eventually end up getting fed up. And for Joe, that's what happened. He tried to rally the people around him, when he was just like, hey, I'm done. Whatever y'all want to do to me, y'all can do. And Joe goes on a complete rage. And eventually he does get, we'll put it like this, the AI gets upset at Joe and it's like, hey, we won't have to call HR. And they call HR in. But HR has some needles that they want to inject Joe with. Of course, Joe, he's not having that. So, Little Rail's character, he fights the HR specialist and leaves him pretty bloody, actually. And then, he just screaming at the top of his lungs that I quit. And when he says that, he's automatically transported back to his job at Mallard. He's sitting at a work desk, and at the work desk, he has these silver, for lack of better words, simulation pods around his forehead. So basically, we find out that Joe was in a training simulation. So the simulation is over, and another spooky part is that the HR guy that was going to give Joe the shots was actually the same guy that put Joe through the training simulation. So at the end, Joe's like, okay, cool, I'm done. And then Joe's boss, he wants to promote him. He's like, hey, man, this is going to be your new office right here. But, in the back of Joe's mind, he's like, I don't want anything to do with this anymore. He calls his wife and he lets his wife know that, hey, I'm going to be home tonight. I miss you, and I miss, I want to be around our son that is due very, very soon. But before that, whenever it's all said and done, Joe realizes that there's one thing that he's got to do. He wants to make sure that nobody goes through what he went through. What he decides to do, at the end, he says, I'm going to have to burn this down. Yeah. So, Little Rail, Hulu, we need that part two. We need that part two. I know we in a strike right now, but as soon as that strike is over, I need part two. I need part two bad, bro. Because this movie right here was superb. Incredible acting right here. Incredible acting. And again, thank you for tuning into the Lawrence Report. If you like what you saw today, please feel free to hit that subscribe button, like, comment, and share. Again, thank you for tuning into the Lawrence Report.